All right. Welcome to the. Wait, what's
Did
the
I
name
start
of this meeting?
We're gonna make a Lucas. So that's gonna be a thing. We're forgetting wherever we are.
That's how it ends up when you're honest with people and tell your stories. They mock you publicly.
Luckily, I only have one meeting that I'm organizing, so it's pretty easy for me to remember what meeting I'm in.
I mean, no. A few minutes ago, you were asking about the title of this meeting, and it's the only one.
Okay, that's fair. I can never remember what the title of this meeting is, at least when
your
I'm
message just because
changing
it's
it.
public now.
All right. Throw me under the bus some more. It's all good.
Always happy to do it.
I appreciate it. All right, welcome everyone for another Spec 3.0 with a packed agenda, actually, for once.
Do we start with betting, like how many items we're going to be able to handle during this 1 hour?
Yeah, we can do that. How many do you think?
How many do we have? Actually, I didn't look.
5. 4.
6.
4.
4.
If we have Q&A, we got 6.
Yeah.
4, but all 4 from Maciej? Yeah.
Just one from me, but otherwise, yeah.
I bet on 2.
Oh, I was looking on the November one.
I think we are gone.
Welcome to the future.
Let me share my screen. This is the agenda for today, so everyone knows. I think it's viewable, right? Yeah. Actually, Magic, do you want to start off with your updates first? Because then I can figure out what my update is in the meantime.
No. Okay. Yeah, sure, no problem. But can I share my screen? Okay,
Yeah,
probably
sure.
it will be the better.
Shouldn't we do Q&A first?
Oh, right, yeah.
So I can push my item in the Q&A.
So we never reach.
Sure.
Smart.
Does anyone have any questions before we get into it? Or want to say something?
I designed this meeting, so I know where are the backdoors.
You're just gonna create fake profiles on YouTube and ask questions that nobody really asks, but you know.
That's how you build up the community. Lesson 1.
That's fair. That is fair. All right, Magic, take it away. I think I gave you. Did I give you permission?
Okay. Okay, I will try.
Go.
And this one, yeah, this one. Okay. So you should see that. Okay. So the first one, the update on my pull request to pull request. The first one is to moving the tags and external documentation to info object. And I see that, yeah, the Fran accepted, as I remember. Yeah, the Fran accepted. So I need just 2 more accepts, probably from Łukasz and Dale. So yeah.
Didn't you get approval from Dale? I
get, but it's in the previous changes before the rebase. So
okay.
yeah, so they here, and also I get from
Also Lucas. Okay.
yeah, but I only need
there are 4 approvals.
They're still valid.
Okay.
They're still valid unless GitHub.
No, don't you see it on the right hand side in the list of reviewers?
Yeah, on top, on the top of the pull
Yeah.
request.
Yeah, right.
You have it there or there.
But it's very strange because I make the push force, yeah, with the to make the rebase.
But probably the parts of the code that we made suggestions or something didn't change.
Okay.
That's probably why.
No. Like the thing is that we just simply don't have a branch protection on this branch.
Yeah, right. So you probably, see something like that, make the squash, yes, and merge.
No, I don't think that's the case. I mean, I've experienced, like, for instance, if I do a git push force and you change things significantly, then it will discard all the
But that's
All
the
thi-
thing.
I think.
like,
Well, maybe no. Maybe it was
That's a
because I
branch
was
protection.
targeting master. Probably.
That's again branch protection. So that's the
Yeah.
problem. Like if we would have branch protection, you wouldn't be able to do force push. Like on the master branch, you can't do force push because there's a branch protection.
So now it raises the question: like, should we?
I
Yeah,
think we
but-
should. We just never.
Probably
Okay.
if you make the push force in the pull request that points to the master, you can make the push force, but then you reject all approvals. Yes, you skip. I mean, you forget about approvals. Yes.
Yeah. But Fran is talking about his case from the
Sorry.
2.5 release when he did
Yeah.
force push on
Yeah.
the release branch.
Sorry,
And he
yeah.
shouldn't be able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, probably after meeting I will merge it. Yes. So
Yeah. And now the question is like,
Mhm.
what about the branch protection then?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Like, should we enable branch protection on the next major spec?
Good question. Yes.
Did you answer already the question? Was it yes as an answer, or is
But if we
that
don't
yes,
have
it's
the-
a good question.
yeah, but if you don't have the branch protection, someone who aren't the code owner can merge it by the RTM.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a
Async
problem.
KPI bot if is a code owner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But
like-
it is a like
Like,
Magic
it's
is
not
correct.
big
right?
problem because it's still merged to the release branch, not to the master branch. Like
For
just
sure.
it can always be
Not a
reverted.
big problem. Yeah. No.
It's only a problem if a bot comes in and all of a sudden start to merge 100 pull
Or
requests
some
and we have
troll.
to revert it. Then it's a problem.
Yeah, or
And I'm
some
not giving
troll.
anyone ideas, so please don't do it. All
Yes.
heads off.
Put more trust in
Okay.
bots, dude.
Gain access to async KPI bot if and
I have full confidence in bots. I don't have full confidence in people that builds the bots.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's one. Okay, I will merge it. So it's not a problem. But yeah, the next one, it's adding.
I don't think we still. So what do we do with the branch protection? We continue discussing somewhere offline. Probably an issue, right?
if you want. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna create an issue in the spec repo because it also concerns the minor releases anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can continue. Sorry, Maciej, for
Okay,
interrupting.
thank you very much.
I didn't want to.
Okay, so the next one is with adding the misset metadata fields in the server channel operation and schema object. So here I wrote which one metadata, and the Fran made the review and had one comment very important because I added for every the object. I mean this main object server channel operation message. The metadata like the fields are like title, name, summary, descriptions, tags, and external documentation. Yes, of course, in places where we don't have it. And Fran wrote that if the server ID, in the map of the servers, is already a machine-friendly name for the server. So it's a good question, and I have only one problem with that we shouldn't treat the ID as this machine-friendly name in the case when someone want to make the reference the given server in several places, and then, for example, use the server in the code generation. So the name will be exactly the name for the given server, and that name won't change, yes, between the generated application. So yeah, that's my only concern about it. So what do you think about that? Of course, we have the same problem in the message ID, in the message object, sorry, because we have the name and the message ID.
Yes,
and we
an
can
operation and operation ID as well.
Yeah, and we can also treat the message ID as the name, yes. But for the server and the channel, we don't have something like that. So maybe the name for these two
I
objects
think name is human readable, right?
is machine
No,
readable.
it's machine friendly.
Yeah.
Okay. Human friendly, sorry, not human readable.
Title is
The name is machine-friendly name for the server. Yeah, so isn't it already like an ID?
yeah, I I wrote you this one possible case when we need the name. So you can of course treat the ID as the name, this machine friendly name, yes, for the server. But in the next version of Spec,
But I'm reading this response that you have there,
Mhm.
which I don't know why I missed it.
Mhm.
And I don't fully get it. Like, if you want to change what the name of the object, but for code generation, for instance, but you want the ID to still be the same. That's what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And you must remember to it. Remember about it, yes, if you make the reference.
So aren't we then introducing some, I don't know, code generation specific stuff into the spec?
Do you mean by some extension or something like that?
No, I mean I'm saying that by doing this, aren't we introducing name, which is just for code generation purposes? I cannot think of any other case. For instance, documentation doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I also.
Right. So I'm wondering if I mean, it makes sense if it will be human friendly. In this case, yes, for documentation.
Yeah, but we have the title for it, yeah.
Yeah, we have title for that, exactly.
Yeah.
But if it's machine friendly, why not having the ID, right? But the problem is that you said like to generate code. So I'm thinking out loud right now, so don't mind me. So, but that is like very code generation specific, right? So I'm wondering if this should be actually an extension or something like that, or I don't know, like, or maybe not, maybe can be there.
Yeah, but
thing is that what I feel is that it's a pain in that in most of the cases, what I feel is that we're gonna have servers, and then development, and then
name
development.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah, exactly.
Production, name, production, and then it's like, I don't know, it's weird because you have to maintain the same name, usually the same name in two places.
Yeah, and by this you can have the name, yes. I mean the name field.
Well, you don't have to because it's not required. But yeah.
Yeah, but you can use it, yeah, for it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. But
and
for
if
example,
you copy paste if you copy paste the definitions, for instance, like I have development and I want to copy the server definition and paste it, and then start staging and then paste it again and do production, then I will have to go through all of them and change the ID and the name, right? So I don't know, it seems to be more work for me. I'm not sure, like the thing here is that I see when it could be used, but the thing is that will it be used? Right? So, or is it something that we're just like, maybe someone needs it? Because then if someone requests it, then it will be easy to add it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to keep it simple, like, okay, we don't add it. And then if someone says like, hey, I have a problem, I'm generating code, blah, 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 whatever, we can encourage them to use an extension, for instance. And then we see if many people are using this extension all over, then we incorporate it to the spec. Or if someone opens an issue that and many people think that it should be included.
Yeah.
I don't know, trying to approach it from a different angle, like start simple and then grow, which will not produce any breaking change.
No, it won't be the breaking change. It's only the addition.
Or try to anticipate something that we will know or we will think it will happen. But I'm not quite sure that this will happen, to be honest.
Yeah, but for example, the JSON schema also have the name. And as I remember, the Modelina also used that, yes? As the fallback for ID, $ID. I don't know.
I can't remember.
But again, this is something that Modelina, for instance, is code generation So same case.
Yeah.
Modelina will use $ID for JSON schema, will use other fields for
Yeah.
TypeScript, and for async API, it will use a different thing. So why not an extension, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
uh,
But we have this problem with the name, with the message object, yes, at the moment, because it's the only place, except the JSON schema, of course, when you can define the name.
JSON
yeah,
schema
yeah,
doesn't
of-
have
And
yeah.
it.
We need to get rid of. I mean, we need to unify. Like, if
Yeah.
we make a decision here, we probably should apply the same thing to message and to other objects, of course.
Yeah, so probably the message ID can be treated as the name, yes.
Or
Yes.
just completely removed. I will just remove message ID, because the message ID
Really?
will be the key. We have a list of messages, right? Not a list. We have a map of messages. So the key will be the ID.
Yeah, but you can change then this ID by another, key in the object, yes.
But why would you have to change
What?
it if the ID of it is already in the map?
Exactly. Why will you want to have?
But you can use this given message in several places, yes, by the reference.
And that's also a problem, because then you might have
Yep.
conflicts. Like, you might have two different messages with the same ID. Right?
Why was it that we changed the messages to have an object or a map of messages with ID and a message instead of just being an array still?
My thought was that, so from the operation, we can specify which messages will apply to this operation. Like,
Mhm.
from the
Right.
list of messages, from the map of messages of the channel,
Mhm.
I want this operation to only apply in these specific messages. So for that, I needed to have either IDs or or numbers from the position of the array, right? So
Mhm.
position of the array is less readable.
You have
So,
to have the possibility to reference from the channel messages or what? Because
yeah, I was also thinking that maybe
yeah.
that is yet another
Mhm.
proposal that I will make at some point. But that maybe I know that we're applying $ref everywhere, but I'm not sure if it makes sense to also use $ref inside the operation messages keyword, assuming that we add a messages keyword to operations, of course.
Mhm.
Which I think it will be the case, because it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but
So
Mhm.
so in
Continue.
that case, we probably can just say, like, these messages will be a list of message IDs without $ref or anything, right? And it will have to be found following the channel $ref messages and then resolved in there. So not perfect, but I think it will be easier to maintain.
Yeah, it will be, but I have only this problem with rid of the message ID, because in the current version 2,
Yeah.
the message ID should be unique across all operations and channels. Yes, so it means that okay, but if we read off and only use the key of the channel messages object,
Mhm.
you can have the case when someone use the given message by the reference in two channels, and that's the problem, because the people can name the message by the identity in different way. So the given message, the same message can have the different key in the channel messages list.
If that's what they want, I don't
Yeah.
think that's a problem.
So then we probably also sorry. So the message ID probably should be unique across the channels, not the the list of the channels inside application. Yeah. So we also change that behavior.
Yeah, but that is like inside this, not it shouldn't be unique on all the channels, but only inside one channel,
Mhm.
right? So you can have the same ID pointing to a different message on another channel,
Mhm.
but inside the channel, because it's a map, it has to be unique, right? The map
Yeah,
is
yeah.
enforcing uniqueness.
Yeah.
Now, if we don't, which I think it makes sense, like, I might want to call it something different in a different channel for whatever reason, I don't know. But in the case of having a message ID, for instance, it will mean that this message will have this ID independently on where you use it, and that is prone to have the problem that you might have this message ID repeated somewhere else in another message, right? And I mean, unless the parser is catching this problem, I don't think it's a huge problem, but it makes it harder to spot these errors, right? To debug these errors. Like you have, it reminds me a lot to the ID property of HTML. It's exactly the same thing, right? Like why we long ago discouraged people from using ID on HTML elements, right? Because of that, because you can have the same ID on different HTML elements, and yeah, you might have some. I mean, in the case of the browser, it doesn't fail; it's still valid HTML document. But if you try to use hashtag the ID, then which one is it, right? So it reminds me a lot of this one. The only difference is that in version 2, I hope, because I didn't check, we're making it fail that you have two different messages with the same ID, with the same message ID. So
yeah, we have the custom rule for that.
Yeah. So, but in version 2.
Yeah, also in
previous
this
parser, not in the new
parser. Yeah,
parser.
yeah, in the previous parser, yeah, we have
Okay.
such a.
Okay, so if it's
project.
covered by the parser, then it's different, because the parser here will be like in the analogy, the parser will be the browser, right?
Yeah.
So if the browser is failing, right? If the parser is failing, then it tells you like, hey, this is repeated, this message ID is duplicated, then it's easier, of course.
Yeah,
But
continue.
like if the structure itself makes it impossible to duplicate it, I think it's much easier and one less thing to maintain, right?
Yeah, but message ID can be also used to, to some governance in the company. Yeah. So of course the people can make some storage of the messages, use it in your system, your company. And message ID, you exactly add some ID. So it means that if you try to write another message, but you write the same ID, so it means that probably you make something wrong, yes, in your system. Because
but the information is still there. It's just on the map. It's just on a different place. But the message ID is still there. It's just outside.
Yeah. But that's the problem.
You can still enforce it. You can still enforce it. You can still enforce governance rules.
So you can still enforce that if you make the reference of the given message, you need to make the same key in the given channel, or what? The given.
I don't know. What do you mean by
because if you want to enforce the key in the message object,
yes,
you need to check that the given message is the same message in different place. So these two, two places need to have two keys, yes, the same keys.
But for that we have $ref, right? If you're referencing the same.
Yeah. You can check by the reference in memory. Yeah.
But we have the $ref, right? If it's pointing to the same reference, then it's the same message.
Yeah,
if it's not, it will be a different message with the same, exactly the same definition, which is totally possible. Why not? Right?
I think we discussed that in an issue, right? Recently, like 1 month ago or something like this. I remember we were discussing exactly this.
I think so, yeah. I don't remember now.
And I'm going to try to find it just to leave it there for reference.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay, so maybe you should agree on something, yes? So at the moment, every object has the name, so we should read off. Okay, I will read off the name from this pull request, because it has some more problems that that process, and probably I will open the issue to discuss the message ID if we should read off. So
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, that will make sense. So we don't forget about it.
Yeah, okay.
So independently of the decision that we take here, I mean, I'm not. So I'm now pushing for let's get rid of these fields because I'm trying to force myself into a lean approach here, right? And in a simplistic, maybe, I don't know, approach
Mhm.
here, or so that we start again on version 3, we start like, we don't need that. We assume that we're not gonna need that, right? And only when we need it, or if we know now that we need it, we will need it, then we add it.
Mhm.
But the thing is that, so not adding it is not a problem, because then adding it afterwards will be fairly simple, right? So, but if we end up not needing it, and it's not a problem, then the benefit is that we get a simpler spec,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So
It's easier to add than remove.
exactly,
That's the bottom line, right?
removing will create a breaking change. So
Yes.
if we're not sure right now, I will be cautious and just not do it unless we have a
use
revelation
case.
now that, oh yeah, no, we need it. We didn't think
Yeah.
about it, but it's true, we need it. Okay.
Yeah,
in this
use case from
yes.
community.
Yeah, but I will keep it simple. And to me right now, it looks like a duplication of information.
Yeah, but the same way, because okay, um, one thing, because sorry, not here. Oh my God, my internet. So we have something like the summary and descriptions, yes? And to be honest, I don't know why we have these two fields if descriptions can also include the summary. So maybe you should also read off the summary. or
It
not.
has a purpose. It's mainly for documentation purposes, actually. Which, I mean, if we get back to what I said, like case specific, like if it's only for documentation, then
Mhm.
probably it will be an extension. I don't know. I don't think so, because I think these are pretty common. But summary it doesn't support markdown, right?
Yeah.
It's a simple sentence. It's meant to be short,
Mhm.
right? It's meant to be a short explanation of something, right? And description instead is like, it's as long as you want description, right? And it supports markdown and all of that, right? So
You can write about some details, yes.
yeah, so you can explain whatever you want there, right? So for instance, summary will be the channel summary. For instance, channel summary could be used for navigation. So instead of having send or publish / users, you could have instead of that, you can have I don't know, the summary, like create a new user, right?
Yeah, right.
Something like that, which is more human friendly, right?
Mhm.
But you cannot use the description there, because it will be it could be a long thing that you cannot fit in a single line, right? And it
Sure.
might contain markdown and so on.
Okay.
So summary is useful for these cases when you want
Okay.
to have a single short simple short description.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, thank you very much.
No
So
problem.
yeah. So yeah, and also this pull request adds the text in the schema object, but it's not my case, but we have also the issue for it. So I am protected. Yeah, the last one. Yeah, because one person of community, which one? Because
But
yeah, the Gabor. Yeah, the Gabor want to add the first one, add the text to the component to make the reference between the tags, and also add the tag to the schemas here. Yeah. So to be honest, I don't know if I should include the tags in schema object or create another pull request and start discussion. But yeah.
I mean, that will mean yet another field that is not JSON schema.
Yeah, because we have the external documentation, discriminator, and deprecated. Yeah.
So it will mean like I think we should instead try to go through like a point where we don't have custom fields ourselves. And so we get rid of at whenever we can, if it's possible, we get rid of this custom
We
fields.
can even, contribute to the
adding
JSON
more,
schema, yeah?
Or maybe we can make this proposal in JSON schema that they have tags, they have tags or something like that. But yeah, I'm not sure if this is going too far, maybe. So yeah,
5 years later.
in any case, you can still, if you want to have tags, or anyone wants to have tags, they can still have extensions, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's a JSON schema thing. That's not on async KPI, right? Or I think it shouldn't.
Agreed.
I already committed the mistake of adding 3 custom fields.
Mhm.
You
not
made
sure
the
which-
mistake of adding async API schema object, not the free
Well,
fields,
yeah, I
but
had to add the schema
thing.
object because I had custom fields, right? Otherwise, well, I
Yes,
would have
true,
said like,
yeah.
this is just JSON schema, right? So, but I had to create a schema object because I needed a place to say we have 3. We have JSON schema plus 3.
Yeah.
So
So, okay, so probably I will remove it and start the discussion here on this issue.
One
So-
question. Could
Yeah?
tags become, as you say, Fran, an extension, but could be included in the extensions catalog? Would it make sense?
anything
Of
can
But
be.
the extension catalog doesn't work. That's the problem.
Well, it's gonna.
It doesn't work yet. Yeah.
Lucas is
Yeah, yet.
working on. I
Yet,
mean,
yeah,
Lucas
yeah.
now, a mentee from Lucas is working on that, right? Lucas.
Yes or not, Lucas?
Yeah. He dozed off.
Okay. Yeah.
I listen. I confirm.
Okay.
So good.
Eventually, it will be something.
Yeah.
But like eventually whatever is an extension should end up in the spec if it's used.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever talked that something will be extension forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. So if well, I mean, some things I don't agree. Some things I don't fully agree. Like I said, there are some things that might be good to keep it as an extension forever. So
It depends
like,
on how specific it is for one specific
that's why.
use
So
case.
if it's like, I don't know, vendor specific or something like that, then probably it should be there.
Mhm.
as
Then
an
it's
extension
not
forever.
extension from extension catalog, right?
Well, I don't agree. Again, like for instance, if I have an AWS what is it called, event breach specific extension, that might be useful for many community members, so it's still valuable that it is on the event on the extension catalog, but the purpose is not to make it into the core spec ever, but it's still valuable that it's on the extensions catalog, right? So many
Mhm.
people can benefit from it, right?
I mean, it's
Agreed.
AWS, then it's binding, so we don't even have extensions on bindings.
But bindings is not for AWS. It's I mean, it's not for this. It's
It's
I
for
said like
protocol.
AWS event breach, like it's specific product, right? You want to have some configuration for event breach or something that doesn't belong to the bindings. So that's why I was saying, right? Bindings is for protocols or
Yeah, yeah.
so.
So, okay. Okay, so I fixed things. And yeah, that's it. So, Jonas, do you want to continue with your update? Or do you have any questions about my pull request, this one?
I think it makes sense that YouTube basically came to the conclusion of like keep it as simple as possible
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
in terms of it's
Yeah,
much
this
easier
na-
to add it than
yeah.
remove it later.
Yeah, the
So if
name and
it's-
the tax, will be out. Yeah. Sure.
But don't close the issues, or create separate issues. So
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
exactly. I will create this.
there's a place where people can leave a comment or
Yeah.
right. So
Yes.
We'll add in the 3.1.
in any case,
Isn't it?
still like let's leave this feedback on the pull request, on this pull
Mhm.
request, and share it on Slack and so on. So just to see if we get more feedback other than the feedback from the people.
I
on
don't
the
think so.
site.
I don't think so.
What?
Okay. No, I was joking.
We gotta try. We gotta try.
Oh, yeah, always we'll try. Okay, so yeah. So
So we
that's
don't, because otherwise it will look like we made the decision on the call, and we don't want that, right? So we still want to
Yes.
give opportunity to people to chime in and protest if needed.
yeah, okay.
At least I can say that we didn't try to reach out.
Exactly. So it shouldn't be on our side.
Okay. So Jonas, do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Everybody loves a good reference discussion, so let's go to it.
Yeah, Jason Schema.
Finally,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
I'm out. It's getting late. Time to go.
It's getting too late now.
No, so this is a pretty big discussion, so I'm planning to do a little section at a time. So for this meeting, I'm focusing on this use case, and I want feedback based on that alone.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you a. I hope YouTube is picking that up. So it's probably not. Let's see if I can write it. I'm sending you a link to the specific discussion about this specific use case. So at the moment, I decided to say that this has a known behavior. So this is something that we currently say this is supported or should be supported by tooling. And what I mean by this is that, yes, this one. So in JSON schema, they have something called bundling with references. This means that when you load up or when you use references, it would automatically match references to this URL to the ID of the schema, without you having to explicitly say that this is a local reference to schemas users signed up. So a reference library should automatically understand that you want to reference to this specific schema.
So in this case, it shouldn't need to go to this URL to grab the schema, right? It will just go grab it from schemas, component schemas, right? Okay.
Yes. The problem is that this is not something that's allowed or is specified in the JSON reference specification, which this is part of. That's actually a lie. No, it's true. So when we say reference here, it's not a JSON schema reference. This is an async API reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in that standard, there's nothing that says that it should automatically match this with this schema. Like nothing says it.
Yeah.
So this is very, and this is my issue with it, that if we allow this in official tooling, it all of a sudden become a feature that you might rely on to always work. But if the standard doesn't define that behavior, other tooling that say they support async API could have a different approach and say, well, this should never automatically match this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my problem with the standard behind it. And that's one of the reasons, or one of the drivers for a new standard for references. But that's a later discussion.
Am I the only one that finds this confusing?
It's
Like,
super confusing.
I mean, confusing in the sense that am I the only one that feels that this payload $ref, right, on the message will actually go to this URL to grab the message to grab the payload?
You would expect it to.
I will expect it. Like, I don't know anything about $ref or anything, which is actually the case. And in my whole life, I will ever imagine that this is gonna match the one below. So this is like super intricate.
There is one detail here, Jonas. This is actually how JSON schema. I'm telling JSON schema, how the references work in not in draft 7, but in I don't remember.
Yeah, never.
2019 or 09.
This is exactly right how it works.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
so
the only
thing-
difference is it's placed within here within a definition subject.
Yeah.
Like that's the only difference.
Yeah.
There's nothing that says that explicitly states in async API that this is an expected behavior.
the way they well, I don't know if it's in the documentation, but I remember perfectly we had a meeting with Ben at some point, like months ago, and the way he's playing it, it's like I'm telling this just to think about it. Like the way the references are treated is like they are just identifiers. Doesn't care about protocols or whatever. Just pure plain strings, let's call it.
Yes.
They are just plain strings, and depending on the tooling, it will behave in one way or another. But they always talk about kind of I don't remember the name. It's like registries or something like this. Something that you load all your schemas. I think AGV it's how it works, right? The tool AGV. So you load all your schemas associated with an ID. So imagine like a set or a map, whatever. So all the work of getting this from the HTTPS, my schema, registry, whatever, it's done on tooling side. It doesn't have to do with the reference or with the spec. You know what I said. So
So
completely different. So they only say this is a string identifier. Whatever you do, it's out of the spec. So I don't know what is the what
now
we
I
want
got
to do there.
Now that you said that, Sergio, like I got one question then. So if I remove this $ID from user signed up schema,
Yes.
should tooling actually go to this URL to resolve to?
Yes
So
and
it's not
no.
an
Wait.
ID.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
So it's an
The
ID
reality is
sometimes, but in some other cases it's a URL.
It's up to the tool.
It's up to
But
the tool.
it's not in the spec.
It's not in the spec. Okay.
So for example, there are the hyperjump. I think it's going directly to the URL, but it's a decision on the tooling, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Jonas.
So,
But it's
you
not
can-
deterministic, yes? So it means that
Yes.
you
that
can
is-
have the valid or invalid spec.
So that is yes. So then adding this to the fact that we were saying like let's unify all our references in V3, right? And we decided to use $ref everywhere, right? Because using plain text IDs seemed like a bad idea, right? But by this, if we follow this approach, then we will be actually doing the plain text ID approach, just with the $ref in the beginning. But yeah, this URL will actually be, this could be something else. I don't know, just the word user signed up without anything else, just the word, because it's a plain ID, so plain text ID, right? So we will actually be merging the two, right? The plain text IDs with the $ref IDs, which yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's highly confusing for me to be.
If
To be
you
honest,
want to, yeah, continue.
No, I just wanted to say I find it super useful.
Yeah.
Like you have everything, you can do whatever you want, right? But I guess the concern here from Jonas is okay, and how? So we want all of this or whatever, and how we ensure that? How do we say?
How
this
do we
is
ensure
spec?
consistency?
Yes.
Yeah. But in this example, you can only use the reference to the schema, yeah? But for example, if I want to make the reference in the next major version, of course, not in this spec, to the channels, and then I make want to make something like the plain text, not the exactly the local reference to the given channel, but by this ID. So the channel object need also this $ID, yeah, to recognize that you wanna make the reference to this channel.
So I'm not talking about whether we should introduce $ID into any of our components. That's not within the discussion here, because that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, but we need some, you know,
So it's
logic to
only
handle that. Yeah?
it's only relevant in this specific use case. If we have to keep on track, it's very specifically for when you define or if you reference payloads, that, and especially if it's a JSON schema, because those schemas can define an ID. For example, Avro, you probably can't have any of these behavior, right? Because you can't. There's nothing within the standard that says this is something that you should be able to do. So this is very JSON specific, but it's to create a consistency across our tools or any tool in that matter. So it's, I don't know.
But if you have the given schema with this ID in separate file, so from tooling perspective, you need to know that you have that separate file, yes?
Yes, and you would have to manually load it into the tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Before loading this in order to understand that you shouldn't be able to go out into the web to fetch this because I locally have it in my cache, basically.
Yeah, we should probably, in this case, we should probably go through all the schema definitions and dereference all of them and put it,
and then make the reference,
and then resolve all the rest of the $refs.
Yeah,
because otherwise,
yes,
they will go to URL always, right?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
kind of like a cache.
Yeah. But
it would work kind of a cache.
I don't remember.
You resolve $refs in a specific order. That's what I mean. You first go to schemas and then the rest of the document.
I don't remember where, but I found one example, maybe in our case or maybe in another repository, that if you name the given schema, yes, with some domain, in this case, my schema registry.org, then probably you need this domain for every IDs, because some tooling, as I remember, don't support the separate the domain name. So it means, for example, if you have two schemas with different domain names, and if tool check traverse all schemas and check the IDs and check the first IDs, it treats the first domain as important. So probably the second one, the second reference to the another schema with another domain probably doesn't work. As I remember. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very hard to explain, but
yeah,
I need to probably I have to write some example that you can understand, but yeah.
It just comes down to should our tooling support it or not.
Yeah.
Hell no. Please no. I mean, if you ask me for my opinion, like, don't introduce this level of complexity, please.
We don't make decisions here, but no.
No, yeah, that's true.
Exactly, we don't make decisions, but you're asking me for my opinion. My opinion is hell no. Then you can ask on the. I mean, you already asked on the discussion, right? So
yes. So I sent you a link, and I want each and every one of you to write a comment specifying this.
Hell no.
Thank you very much.
No, I would say like I'm gonna comment hell no, without that other context.
So just to spice it up, this is allowed in OpenAPI 3.1.
But
so
in
let's
OpenAPI you can
that.
but in OpenAPI you can also define, yes, in which dialog do you want to define this reference, as I remember. So you have two options: the newest one with IDs or the previous behavior.
I don't know that specific part though. I haven't read that.
Yeah,
But
but okay, I will check in OpenAPI specification.
Please do.
Please. Okay.
So yeah, let's finish on that note. What an interesting discussion, huh? Only 10 more use cases to go through with references.
So the outcome is that we add $ID at the root of async API file, right?
No, no. That could
we
be an
already have
output.
it. It's call ID.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We only have to add $.
No, let's not make it more complicated. All right.
I mean, there was a request to add $schema in the
Yeah.
past, so
Yeah.
which was actually made sense.
It makes sense, yeah.
Definitely. All right.
I mean, all of this actually makes sense. I understand the value of all these things. I just think that is not solving any problem for us, and it's only making it more difficult. That's it. So I understand what's the value of this approach and so on, but that's it.
Oh, they have that field.
But
That's
what,
interesting.
but what really is the value? Like, so you don't have to repeat the URL or what?
I will say the value, it's in many cases, it's like you want if you use URLs, you will have uniquely identified messages, for instance. So you will have URIs, right, as identifiers. Sergio said before, that you can have in schemas, you can have some kind of cache, because they are URLs. They don't have to, but if you make them URLs, it's easier to make it unique across multiple documents as well. So you don't have this problem that I found user signed up defined into different documents with different messages, with different schemas or something like that. Because yeah, it's harder because, well, actually, I don't know if it's harder, but I mean, it seems easier to me that the IDs become normalized, I would say. Right, and also if they are defined on the schemas, they don't have to go to internet, right, to resolve them. So
And you don't need to remember where the given schema is in which file, but you only know that given schema exists, yes, in your system.
But the thing is here is that so right now what we're proposing people is that they do hashtags, /components, schemas, and the name of the schema, which is referencing a schema by its location, like where is it defined, is inside components, schema, whatever. And with the ID, it can be defined anywhere, right? Anywhere else. That is always going to be the same ID, right? The same URL, independently if you move it here or there, or like Maciek was saying, like I changed the with the previous discussion, right? What if I change the key on the components, right? In component schemas, I have the key user signed up with the schema definition. What if I change user signed up to, I don't know, all lowercase, or something like that? In this case, it will not break, right? Because yeah, the key is one thing, and the message definition and the message ID is a different one, right? I just don't think it's providing any value for us. I understand the value for some people, but yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight this before ending, because this is what we wrote as the expected behavior, that by default, it should be turned on, that this should be automatically matched for the payload. But it can be turned off as well. Yeah, that's kind of the conclusion part of it, especially because we have no merit for what is expected.
So this is actually what you're saying is that even if we don't support this, like we turn it off, right? It's still compliant.
It will still be compliant, because there's nothing within draft 7 at least that defines this behavior. And it's not until that's where it gets tricky. That's for next time.
Okay. I think it's good. Yeah,
Yes.
we keep it short.
So Lucas, you are actually right. I hate to say it.
As usual.
As
Yeah.
usual.
But I'm like, to conclude, I'm with the idea. I'm even confused in pure JSON schema. We have it in our schemas
Yes.
for some time because of Jonas.
Yes.
And
Yes,
now
sorry.
I don't get it. Like maybe because I just did not read the feature, but like for me it's super confusing. I see definitions, and I look into definitions, but there it's isn't there, and the tooling fails.
Yeah, but in this case, if you exactly call the schema with the same domain, but this domain exactly exists, and you exactly want to make the reference to this domain, not, you know, to your local, so then you can have a problem.
Yes.
What?
I mean, it's very, very edge case, but you know, I very like it. So
But you don't need that. Let's think that you won't need that ever.
yeah, exactly. But yeah.
We won't need that ever as well, so. I think so, of course.
Any
I already
last
left a
remarks?
comment in the discussion, by the way, Jonas. So.
Thank you. Now we're only missing 3 other comments. All right. Guess we didn't make it to your feature request, Magic, but I'm gonna write it up for next time as well.
Yeah, sure,
we
no
have
problem.
a request reply for next time, an update there. So let's see how many we make. We're probably gonna have to bet again how many issues we are going.
Maybe you should have the meeting not bi-weekly, but you know, in every week. Thinking out loud.
Yes, it's a
We
possibility.
can do it. I will only be able to join if we keep the same schedule. I will only be able to join one like every 2 weeks, like now.
Mhm.
I don't think we have enough to discuss for having it once a week. I know we have a few things now, but then the last 2 or 3 weeks, it hasn't been that much.
Mm.
But let's see. We can always bring it up as an issue.
Every 2 weeks, it's too much pressure. Every week.
Every
sorry,
week.
I mean, every 2 weeks, it's already like. So.
Okay.
That is fair.
Are you okay, Lucas?
No, because like because of Jonas now he reminded me of this $ID, and I now remember that I have to. Because we have
exactly
to
our
fix,
reaction.
like because we have to fix our schemas now just because of this ID. Like we want to be perfect, so we have these, but now VS Code tooling doesn't support it, so we have to work around it.
Yes.
So it's always
It's great.
like
Should you can still use the draft 7, yes? So
It's a maybe. I don't think we have tested it if we changed all the schemas to the newer drafts. I don't think that's supported either though. So it's, yeah. Because as far as I could tell regarding the VS Code, it was only part of it where references didn't work. I mean, something like internal definition.
It's failing with references. Let's see what happens once we fix these.
We can always make them absolute in the bundled.
Yeah. So we have a workaround. Yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna work on it. But yeah, that's not how it should work. I think
I did have a custom bundler before switching to a library, but it's somewhere within Git history in some pull request that I don't know where it is. So you're welcome to try and find it, where I did the manual bundling.
I think that, I mean, my idea is that the way I plug into current bundling process is that I leave your bundling, and then at the end I run a function that goes through what you bundled and fix it. That's my engineering.
Yes,
no
perfect. It's perfect.
It's a additive in engineering.
Yes.
it only adds. Transactional engineering.
All right, let's finish it off. We are out of time. Any last remarks before saying goodbye?
Was
Okay.
a pleasure.
Right.
As always, see y'all.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.